The presidents of Harvard University, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the University of Pennsylvania are scheduled to testify before a House committee tomorrow about the rise in anti-Semitic incidents on campus since the Israel-Hamas war began in October. Congressman Burgess Owens, Republican from Utah, is the chair of the House Committee on Education and the Workforce, and he joins me now. Chairman Owens, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. This obviously is very high profile. There have been a lot of high profile protests on these campuses over the last number of weeks. What is your specific hope for what emerges from this hearing tomorrow?
Josh, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to share and talk about this. This is probably one of those more important hearings that we've had as a Congress. We're talking about the future of our children. We're looking at what kind of product, what are the kids we're putting out that will actually lead our country. And we're finding out that over the last few decades, we've had some issues. We've had this ideology that's actually having our children coming out hating others, whether it be, in this case here, anti-Semitism, which we're seeing everywhere. We never thought this was happening. Whether it be the BLM that was happening a couple of years ago where black businesses were being burned across this country, whether it be Antifa. We're seeing things coming out of our higher education that is not the American way. We need to address that. I'm thankful that we have Dr. Fox, Virginia Fox, who's leading the Education Workforce Committee that's truly looking into this. And by the way, I should also say this, I'm also thankful for the Republican Party that's made education a priority. This is so important. If we don't get this right, we can forget holding on to our culture, holding on to our American way, and having a greater future for our kids as we move forward.
Yeah, the hearing is seen as being mostly about anti-Semitism, which is certainly a tremendous issue, an increase of about 300% according to the Anti-Defamation League. But the Council on American Islamic Relations says that it's documented a, quote, appalling 216 increase in requests for help and reported bias incidents in the month since the October 7th Hamas attacks. This is against Muslims, against Arabs, a number of high-profile attacks there, too. Will that be part of this hearing as well?
No, this hearing is based on what we're seeing in terms of the increase of anti-Semitism. Just last night here in Philadelphia, not here, but a little bit south of us in Philadelphia, we had an issue where where Jewish businesses were being attacked. It reminded me of the night of the broken glass. We're seeing Israelis, we're seeing Jews that are being attacked and being highlighted. And yes, we're having issues across the country in terms of hate, but there's nothing like what we're seeing now with pointing out particularly Jewish people, particularly with an aggressive pro-Hamas issues across our country. Look at these young people that they have no idea, they have no sense of connection with what happened on October 7th. That should be our topic. What has happened to people, innocents, babies, women, raping of women? These are things that no one's talking about. And I think it's time for us to figure out what's going on and why we're all of a sudden having this uptick, particularly with anti-Semitism. We have to address it and make sure we take care of this.
There has been much concern for years about stifling of freedom of speech on campus, stifling of conservative speech. Do you also see this hearing as potentially infringing on freedom of speech, even speech that you might find offensive, but is nonetheless legal, speech that is against Israel or against what Israel is specifically doing in Gaza now?
No, there's a difference in free speech, and there's a difference in violence and also hatred. And I'll say this too: it's also a difference in American citizens that are actually speaking up in their full rights, and those that are here visiting our country. They do not have the same rights in terms of causing chaos, spewing hatred. If in case people come here, our visitors, they want to come here, they do that, they need to go home and do that. Don't do it here on American soil. And I think it's very important not to conflate the fact that, yes, we're having across the board this issues, Islamophobia. I'm hearing that, I don't see a lot of it. But at the end of the day, when we start talking about what's happening with the Jewish anti-Semitism, let's keep that in the right light. Let's not try to diffuse that by bringing in everything else that's going on in this country. We've never seen the anti-Semitism that we're seeing right now, where literally businesses are being addressed. We have every single day more protests talking about the elimination of Israel, These are things we have to address, recognize this is real deal. And where does it come from? It's coming from these colleges that's teaching our kids not to come together, but the idea of oppression and oppressor and oppressed and those that are oppressed and dividing us. We have to make sure we're addressing